Hi guys, I'm live. I just want to talk about some stuff. I like feedback when people say things like they like my channel because I do other things besides just music, and that's one of the reasons is I share my life with you guys, not just my music. So thanks for the compliments, those that say they like when I chat. I want to just do miscellaneous chat, but I have a few ideas of what I want to talk about and see where it goes. First of all, these are the picks I use. I use Ernie Ball Prodigy picks. I either use 2.0 millimeter or 1.5, depends on what they have at Guitar Center. And the only picks I like, and they're expensive. They're about $2 a pick, but they're worth it. I just happen to have just opened these, and I just threw that in there. Um, I want to talk about what I'd said before about the James Webb Telescope and what it means about the Big Bang and how I feel about that and think about that. And first let me say sometimes in math and logic, the most obvious thing is actually wrong. But that's just a note. The space web, the space web, the James Webb Space Telescope has obliterated the Big Bang theory. There are things in the universe that predated the Big Bang theory by billions of years. Therefore, the universe didn't start with the Big Bang theory. Therefore, a Big Bang or not Big Bang had nothing to do with how we got here, or and the theory is obsolete now. And along with that, they've shown that there was no dark age, at least not after the Big Bang era, because there was already things giving out lots of light around 14 or 15 billion years ago when the Big Bang supposedly happened. Now, I had said before in the video that I made about this that, and everything I said, I said that it changes the landscape. I didn't say what I feel about it and what I thought, what decision I make about with that data. I just gave you the data. But now I'd like to talk about the two options of what could be true with this data, at least in my mind. Um, Obviously, the universe is way older than 14 billion years. I mean, it may be 100 billion years. It may be a trillion billion years. I don't know. I'm not an expert in the James Webb data. I just have seen it. So that means one of two things. There's still two options. Um, I thought that the obvious knee-jerk reaction is there has to be a God, but that's only one of the two options. Um, but in fact, it does. The fact that there's no Big Bang helps the idea that there's God, but it also helps the idea that there isn't. And let me explain that if you want to listen. Obviously, the idea that there's no Big Bang helps the idea of God by in that we didn't get here by Big Bang, so it's an obvious thing to think God must have created the universe. So it helps the theory that there's a God directly because if there's no Big Bang, God must have made it. The other side of the coin, if there's a coin involved, is that it helps the opposite argument too, because here's the deal. Uh, the other way we could have gotten here um, is to say that we don't know how the universe came here, and therefore we don't define it as being created by God. Therefore, we don't define the need to have a God be true, and therefore there may not be non-belief in God. We don't know how we got here. But then again, we don't know how God got here either. We say God created the universe, but what created God? We don't know that, but there's still an unknown either way. This way, we don't know what created the universe, but then again, that's not much worse than we don't know what created God. We just have to accept one faith that he always existed, blah, blah, blah. But we don't know what created the universe, but here's the thing. If the Big Bang Theory were true, evolution would very likely be false because, frankly, at least from what I can figure out, 14 billion years is not enough time for us to have evolved. It just isn't. I just don't believe it is. It was a pipe dream, you know. But since the universe might be 100 billion years old, I'm just throwing that number out there, whatever. The universe has existed long enough for evolution to be a viable theory of how we got here, given that we don't know what made the universe. But it turns out that the universe is old enough that we also could have evolved. If the Big Bang were true, that's not enough time. the Big Bang theory and evolution contradict each other, just like quantum mechanics and relativity contradict each other. Relativity is the is the is the theory for the very large. Quantum mechanics is a theory for the very small. Humans are in between. Very large is black holes and things like that, and the very small is like atoms and protons and things like that. And the two theories are mutually exclusive. If relativity is true, then quantum mechanics is false. If quantum mechanics is true, then relativity is false. That's why the need is for the total theory of everything that would unite the two in the unified field theory, which hasn't been invented. We don't even know if it exists, and if it does exist, we haven't discovered it yet. But you know, you know, let me get my thought here. Uh, it, it, like I was saying, the Big Bang and evolution are mutually exclusive because if the Big Bang got here and therefore there's no God, if the Big Bang is how we got here and there's no God, there wouldn't be time enough to evolve in that time. But yet, if the Big Bang didn't get here, we not only could have been created by God because there's no Big Bang theory, or we don't know what created the universe, but there has been time enough for us to have evolved. If the universe has been here for a trillion years or trillion years, there's time we could have also evolved. So it strengthens both theories: the theory that God created us, and it strengthens the theory that we just evolved. It becomes a matter of conscience anyway. And I tend to go with that we evolved, but that's just me. What do I know? Um, and so um, so there's that. Any thoughts on that I have? Oh, and also and also there's evidence on both sides too. I've heard Christians say there's evidence that Jesus existed. I can take their word for that. I haven't studied it, but I know also there's evidence that aliens exist, and according to, and the aliens aren't mentioned in the Bible, and the existence of aliens kind of doesn't do the Bible credibility much service. And flying saucers, have not only shown up for almost 100 years since they started. The Roswell crash was 1947. UFOs are basically are true. Now, the Christians can say that that's demons, but that's a long stretch since demons are spirit beings and wouldn't need aircraft to travel. At least that I can think of, unless Satan just. No, I mean, Satan is a spirit. Demons are spirits. How would they even be able to travel in a spaceship? And unless they created bodies, but then again, isn't only God able to create? And why would God create demon bodies to help them travel in spaceships? It's very likely that spaceships exist, and that therefore aliens exist, and aliens are other life forms that have also evolved, but just have evolved have had further along in evolution than we are. Thus, they're higher technology and bigger heads and smaller bodies, and they don't even, from what I understand, some of the aliens don't even reproduce sexually. They just hatch with eggs and things. They've evolved out of sexuality. But they're really smart and with big heads and everything. Well, there's that, and we're headed that way as humans. In fact, I've heard of the term Homo sapien and Homo spacians. As we go into space, our lives are going to change. We're gonna need bigger brains to figure out the harder problems, and we're gonna need less bodies because of the high tech transportation miracles like cars and planes, and now spaceships and rocket ships, and eventually saucers. All that leads to a very uh, inactive body, which will in time make the body weaker and smaller. But then the brain, because of its extended use over time, will make the brain bigger and the head the head bigger, and then we're headed, and we give us like what, I don't know, another billion years, and we're all headed to alienhood. But I like where we are now, and whatever. I like being human, but that's just me. I think a lot of people fight life a lot, and yet seem to say they want to live and fight death too. And that's why a lot of people, I think, are contradicted. They fight life because they don't really give themselves to it, but they fight death because they don't want to end it. They almost like they want to continue an existence that they fight, but they don't want to end it. They just want to fight it and then keep fighting it. I don't know. I'm not putting people. I don't know. I mean to say. But now I said there were several topics, and that's the first one. But since we're rolling, and the tape is rolling, or that's the old term, I'm sure. There's no tape now. I want to talk about maybe my latest music theory. I know I said I wasn't going to say anything about it, but usually I just spill the beans, and usually it takes a matter of time before I do that, and maybe I'll just spill the beans. I don't know. Let's see how it happens. I did figure out music theory, and I don't know if I should say it or just keep playing it, but I seem to have a darkness in me that maybe may get resolved if I just spill the beans to you guys, and so let's just see if I do that. Um, put your thinking caps on, grab your guitar, grab your keyboard. Um, Here's the deal, okay? And if you tune out at some point because you think you know what I'm going to say or think you know it all, then do that. But if you stay the whole time, you might actually learn something. LOL. So there's 12 notes, and there's 12 possible notes for any scale to start on and end on. There's two primary types of scale, and well, there's two main types: is pentatonic and diatonic. And let's stuck with diatonic for now. And there's two types of diatonic scale. Let's stick with, and that's major and minor. Fair enough so far. But there's a trick there, and then there's a trick within the trick, and then you've got it all. The trick within major and minor is this. I'll give you an example first. Let's say that you're in C major. That's the notes. The scale would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That's only one of the 12 keys, but that's one of them. Let's do that. And the relative minor key is A minor to C major, and that would be the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Those two scales have the same key signature, which is no sharps and no flats. But the key signature is not the only way to make a sharp and a flat or flat. You can also have accidentals, which are not in the key signature but change as you're playing. And the difference in the A minor and the C major is that when you play in C major, you just play C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Everything is clean, no accidentals. The key signature is blank. In the key of A minor, the key signature is also blank, but you have one accidental, and that is the seventh note in A minor, which is G, which becomes sharp to G sharp. Not in the key signature, but in the accidental, and actually when you're playing it, just you put a sharp by the G. And raising the G sharp makes a major dominant chord in the minor key, which was why, and since that works, it's called harmonic minor, because chords that relate to harmony, and if it sounds good if you have a major dominant triad in a minor key. Let's pick that apart. Well, first of all, in C major, you have C major, G, F major, and G major triad. C major triad, F major triad, G major triad. You're good. In a minor key, if you just do the natural minor, you would have A minor, D minor, and E minor. Doesn't sound good though. That just sounds like you're playing in the major scale, C, and it sounds good. It sounds like you're playing in a mode of C major, but you're not really. You're still in a major key. You're just playing around other chords in the key, and maybe you're playing a mode of it. But when you take the E minor and make it E major, you get a G sharp. And the G sharp happens to be, G sharp is the major seventh degree in an A minor scale. Or another way of saying it is, if you want to play A minor if you want to play an A minor scale, you have to use a G sharp to make it sound minor. And then when you do that, it's called a harmonic minor, as opposed to Aeolian or a natural minor. So there's that next thing. So whenever you talk about a minor key, you're going to raise the seventh note to a major seventh. That doesn't mean a major seventh chord of four notes. It means that the seventh note in the minor scale is sharped, but not in the key signature, in the accidental. And therefore, and now, if you do that in 12 keys, 12 minor keys, which all have a major seventh in them, you have the 12 minor keys. And if you have the 12 major keys that have no accidentals, that are just natural, no accidentals, just the key signature, then you have the 12 major keys. There's one other trick, and then you've got it. Then you've got it, Davey, as Ronnie James Dio said in the Live in Munich 1977 concert. Great concert, Rainbow. Okay, but that's only harmonic minor and major scale are only two of the four possible permutations of seven note scales. So you haven't finished your homework. Well, let's finish the homework. The two other forms of first of all, let me before I mention the other two, the four forms of a permutation of a diatonic scale are not equal. The two most important are the ones I've already said: harmonic minor and major. Those are the most important. The other two are don't sound that good, not as important, but they exist. So let's just cover them, and then you know everything about about music theory. I'm being facetious, but you kind of do. The sixth degree is the issue from here. Okay, let's do this. If you have a harmonic minor scale in flat the sixth, scratch that. If you have a harmonic minor scale and raise the sixth to a major sixth, you have a melodic minor scale, and that's the other minor scale. It doesn't sound good, but once in a while you can use it, and it sounds good once in a while. Don't just hang on it. Just don't hang on it that much unless you want to sound bad and dissonant like some music is, and then do it. Jazz is an example, but sometimes people like that sound. Okay, that's three so far. Now, if you want in the major scale, if you flat the six, you get a harmonic major. Doesn't sound good, but it exists. Major scale with a flat six is called harmonic major. That's all four. That's it. That's it for diatonic scales. If you want to go into pentatonic scales, there's cool things there too, but it's easier and not as important and not as much used. Maybe is more used in some cases, but it's not as important and it's easier. If you can figure out, diatonic scales are like New York. If you make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And pentatonic scales are like California. If you can't make it in California, you can't make it anywhere. Especially Southern California. LOL. That's it. Um, 12 harmonic minor scales. Want to raise the sixth to a major sixth? 12 melodic minor scales. 12 major scales. Want to flat the sixth? You get a harmonic major. Let's do an example before I quit, though. I've just said what to do, but I didn't give an example. So back to C major. Okay, if I want to do C harmonic major, flat the sixth and the sixth degree in a C major scale is the A, so I would have to have an A flat. So I would spell a C harmonic major scale with C, D, E, F, G, A flat, B, C. Simple. And then it's 12 keys like that. Next, A harmonic minor. A harmonic minor is A, B, C, D, E, F, G sharp, A. Well, if you make the sixth in A harmonic minor is F. If you sharp it to a F sharp, it becomes a major sixth. And if you make that alteration, you get an A melodic minor scale, which is A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Harmonic, that's melodic minor. The sixth degree you can play with, but it sounds better in a harmonic minor scale. It sounds better to have a minor sixth, and if you use a major one, it doesn't sound as good, and it's called melodic minor. In a major scale, it sounds better to have a major sixth, but if you flat it, it doesn't sound good, but you have a harmonic major scale. So major is major, or you can call it natural major, but just call it major, harmonic major. Minor is harmonic minor, melodic minor. Major, harmonic major, harmonic minor, and melodic minor are the only four independent, non-redundant permutations of seven-note scale. And if you play any of those four scales in all 12 keys, you have 48 different scales. And there's modes within all those, and do the homework. And then if you get all that down, maybe you can do what Charlie Parker said, which is learn theory, then forget it, then just play.